So we introduced the concept of application portability. That means if they are using if they are creating their on-demand applications using platforms like Longjump, can they consolidate their efforts entirely around that and create a single code base so that the applications created using this platform can run on demand as well as on premise? Because not every business is ready to do everything on the cloud, and there are many companies whom we work with who are in the financial sector. So neither they want to create applications in the cloud, nor they want to run in the cloud. So ISVs who are serving to customers like this, they need a single code base to basically make their operations efficient. And that's why where we think there are clear lines of demarcation, there is a blurring taking place, and platforms like Longjump is helping them efficiently change their business model and still just work using a single code.
So let me just ask a follow-up question if I might, which is, as I understand your business, it was born as a net native business, and it's evolved to add the ability, this portability capability. At what point along, how do you make that transition in from a technological point of view, in terms of the way in which you architected your solution and delivered that solution in order to accomplish that?
So as I said, early on we did not have that vision. I know IBM came out with Open Cloud Manifesto, and we signed up, which was around 6 months ago or something. But even before that, some of the larger ISVs who started showing interest in our platform, they asked us a specific question, and some of them were truly very large. And we realized that they looked at Force.com and several other offerings. One of the things from where this idea of portability really originated was that traditionally IT has developed application in a development environment, then moved it into a QA environment on an IT basis. They will test the application, and then someone who only has access to the production environment will take that application and move it into the production environment. But when they were doing application development in Force.com, they were not getting that kind of experience. There was no check-in, check-out. There was no nightly build and nightly testing and moving into the QA and then move into the production. So we introduced the basic concept that, okay, there will be 3 different instances of Longjump runtime. Here is your development instance. All of your $20 or $50 developers are developing here. And on a nightly basis, we introduced the concept of APIs so that they can check out the application metadata and upload it into the development QA instance, and from there move it programmatically or manually into the production instance. And that gave birth to the idea of portability, that the same concept can be taken further, where this company can now sell to those customers who are saying, I like your application, I like how it empowers my business user, but I don't want to run it in your cloud. I want to have it on my device. So the idea that got originated because of our ISVs who had larger developers, developing teams, asking for a separate development and QA in production. That idea we took to these ISVs and said, well, you can utilize the same concept now and sell it to those on-premise, those companies who are asking for on-premise.
Thank you. Jeff, your history is a little bit different.
Sure.
You're coming from the other end.
Sure. So yeah, we developed a product that was primarily on-premise first, and our customers are big insurance companies, big pharmaceutical companies, et cetera, who follow a traditional software development lifecycle like you were referring to, in terms not only of the products that they develop, but in terms of how their comp plans work. Right? They want to have they're going to pay their sales force with these plans. They want to put it into a development environment, build the plans, move it into a test environment, check it out, run some data against it, make sure that it's actually right, and then move it into production so the sales force can get paid correctly. What we did is we took our on-premise software, used virtualization to create virtualized tenancy for those customers so that they could have those separate environments to build in, and then have since sort of morphed that into a multi-tenant offering so that we can move down market, so that we're not just dealing with the giant 15,000 person sales forces, that we can actually deliver the same service to customers who have 100 people in their sales force, or 50 or 200 people in their sales force. But the evolution of it is the same. We do still, even though we don't prefer to do a perpetual license for a customer, we still have a code base that we deliver on a traditional product stack that we've narrowed the stacks down to try to keep our costs lower, so that we don't have 15 or 20 different variations of the different technical stacks that we have to run against. It's 2 or 3 now. And it's precisely because if you come up with one of those odd stacks that you absolutely have to have, we can say, well, gosh, we have our on-demand system. You can just run on that. And we do occasionally run it. Still, it's happening much and much less frequently where we run into those customers who, for security reasons, just don't want to put their data on our system. But like I said, basically at this point, it's limited down to almost to Canadian banks. And because there is no safe harbor treaty between the United States and Canada like there is between the United States and Europe, the Canadian banks have a problem putting their data in our product if our data center's in the U.S., which ours is. So outside of Canadian banks, we do business with pretty much anybody in the world. We do subscribe to the safe harbor treaty to make everybody feel comfortable, add some liability onto us, but it makes the data safe. It makes the customers comfortable to do business with us. So, I mean, that's largely how we've overcome the problem, both from a security perspective and a virtualization perspective, so that the customers have what they believe is the proper software development lifecycle or compensation plan development lifecycle, so that they can safeguard their data. And we have some pretty important data. We have all the sales information. We have who works for you, how much they get paid, and there's some pretty sensitive information that we have in our system that people want to protect, and we do it.
Good. You gonna answer it? We're gonna add a little something? Or?
Nope. Unless there's more.
Jim?
What I would do is share 3 examples that kind of correlate to the evolution of our marketplace over the last 10 years. So we started in the cloud as an ASP, call it, back in 99, 2000. And so in the early iteration of the market, we were all very project-based, campaign-based. We would call them episodic networks, and strictly in a multi-tenant environment. Still highly scalable. So when we did the Statue of Liberty or Flight 93, those were project-based. A good portion of the data was secure in the sense that often you have project teams that have to work behind the firewall, so to speak, or they work together to manage the large projects. So there's a public-facing side and private-facing side. But we did those, we implemented those initial projects purely in a project-based multi-tenant environment. Kind of the second iteration of our model, as the market has evolved into the enterprise appropriate implementations, and American Express is a good example in our world. So we had to evolve our process where we were truly enterprise appropriate. So we had to have all the business continuity plans in place, all of the on-site inspections, and all of the things that we knew, all of the business attributes that we knew were going to be important for them, but in our Tier 4 environment, in the appropriate integrations and so on. But this still was in our Tier 4 and is in our Tier 4 environment. But there are certain behaviors that we had to evolve to be, and security and everything else to be appropriate. Today, I think, Jeff, you touched on exactly the right thing, and that the virtualization technologies and some of the other capabilities enable us to create virtual clouds or private clouds that can start in our environment but evolve to be in the customer's environment.